What are we doing today, Alan?
Well, I'll tell you, Ben. We're changing the oil in a 2002 Honda Civic. It's an easy job, but it's one of those things that people who typically don't work on their cars or are trying to save money are a little afraid to take on. So we figured it would be good to get this out there and show you how to do it. You only need a handful of tools. A lot of what we're showing you is actually optional, but there's a few required components. First, motor oil. So this is Chevron Supreme 5W20. It's a weight per the specification for the car. A filter, new crush washer. You'll need something to catch the oil in. You'll need a funnel to put the new oil back in, and a variety of wrenches, filter wrench, breaker bar, torque wrench, that sort of thing. But that's it. That's all we need.
Awesome. Let's get started.
Step one, go to the store, get more oil, because that's not enough, and it'll get us a hot engine. You want to start with the engine hot so that the oil drains out completely and easily.
You ready for a road trip?
Here we go. Walmart, here we come.
So you're going to want to pull it in after driving so you can change the oil with hot oil.
This is the engine oil cap. It will say the weight of the oil on it. It'll have the little, I don't know if you can see that, the little oil can logo. I'm going to go ahead and open that while the engine's still hot, and put this somewhere where you won't A, lose it, or B, forget it. And then I also like to sort of open the dipstick up and set it aside if you can. In this particular car, there's nowhere to lay it out of the way, so I would put it on the workbench. Something that's very helpful is a light of some sort. A work light like this is preferable. The light on your phone will do. First thing you want to find is the center jacking point. In a 2002 Civic, it's right underneath the car. There's actually an arrow in the plastic piece, and you'll see right here, this arrow, that metal piece is the center jacking point. And we're going to put a jack stand under each side, but we'll be able to lift the entire front of the car using this one spot. You never ever want to work under the car without jack stands in place. So on either side of just about any car, you'll usually see like a reinforced spot where on a unibody this is the seam, and there's a little folded over reinforced bit. We want the jack stand underneath that. So we'll get that centered, and then lower the car gently onto that. There's one on each side of the front. Other thing I like to do is once the car is on the stands and out from under the jack, I like to try to just kind of give it a shove and see if it moves, both forward and back, and side to side. And that emulates what you're going to be doing under the car and sort of make sure it won't fall off the stands at this point. So this is the drain plug, and it actually says engine oil on here. I don't know if you can read that. It's pretty warm, but it says engine oil. Be very careful. This is the exhaust pipe. It is ridiculously hot since we've just run the car. It's a 17 millimeter socket on my Civic. And it takes a little bit to break it loose, and then you really don't need the wrench anymore. But what you do want to do is try to hold up your catch pan. I'm going to cover the light here a little bit. Hold up the catch pan while you loosen this to make sure you catch the oil as it first comes out. And it's going to be hot, but it's not going to be like boiling or anything like that. You're not going to remain in contact with it for an extended period of time. Come on now. There we go.
And he just let that plug drop into the mesh net.
That's right. The little catch pan that I have, which I believe was like $7 at Walmart, has a little screen in the top, so you can take the plug out, just drop it right there. You don't have to worry about it. So this is nice and hot, and we've actually got the car tipped back a little bit, so it should drain nicely. I'm going to let it go for about 10 minutes or so. Once that slows down, The filter is like straight up above that. So you kind of want it to slow down before you stick your arm past this. We'll give this a minute and check back in a second. Okay, so we're not actually going to film getting the filter off, but it's up here. It would get oil all over the camera if we do this. It dumps oil all down over my half shaft and everything, so we're not going to film that specifically. Just know that the filter is straight up above where your drain plug is located. This is a new oil filter. I get the Honda ones. There's probably no difference. It makes me feel better. So if it makes you feel better, go with the OEM. There's a gasket. I like to lubricate the gasket with a little bit of fresh oil, just to make sure we can tighten it all the way down. That will actually stick against the engine if it's not lubricated. So just stick your finger in the oil, add a little bit of oil to the gasket, and that's plenty. And that'll help you get it all the way tight. You really only want the filter hand tight. So that'll help you get it on hand tight without having to use pliers or anything like that, which you do not want to do putting on a new filter.
So Alan's got his filter pliers up there, and he's slowly loosening up the old oil filter.
One little turn at a time, and you're gonna mangle it with pliers like this. The housing on the little like plastic coating or whatever it is, it's gonna get messed up. So just prepare for that, and then also don't do what I did. And if you like your jacket, don't wear it while you're doing this, because I'm gonna get oil all down the sleeve. Actually, let's try to. Yeah, it's gonna happen.
There she blows.
Not the best design for this. Like, I feel like the few Nissans I've worked on have done this better. And in fact, the Honda Pilot we have is way cleaner to get off. So there's the old filter. I'm just going to turn it upside down over the screen, just let that drain. For the purposes of this video, we did stick the drain plug back in, but I normally don't worry about doing that. And then I just try to wipe down whatever oil I can see that came out of there. You also want to make sure that the old gasket isn't stuck on the side of the engine. Sometimes that gasket gets stuck there. This one is fine, it's on the filter, so we're all good. So the old one is off, the new one's ready to go. Just putting the brand new one back on here, and you just real gently thread it on so you don't cross thread anything. And you should be able to just hand tighten. They say on the side of the filter it's spec to 10 to 14 Newton meters. I just hold a paper towel and then turn it as hard as I can, and figure that's probably just by hand, that's as much as you need. It's never leaked on me, so that's really all you can ask for. All right, so at this point, we'll take the drain plug back out, and we want to change the crush washer. Get a little more oil out. Here's your drain plug. This is the compression washer or crush washer, the oil drain plug gasket. It's got a few different names. But you can see, and I don't know how well you're going to be able to see this, I'll put the old one next to a new one. I'm going to bring it a little closer. So you can see the old one here has the lip that's formed on the inside of it from being crushed against the oil pan, whereas there's a new one. Sometimes this gasket will be absolutely fused to this plug, and you just want to get a screwdriver or something like that and pry it off and twist it off the threads. Because I do my own oil changes, I tighten it down to, whatever, 30 pound-feet, and I don't use an impact gun on it, so they're always easy to get off. The first one that I did, it wasn't a shop. It was a little tough to get off. So I put the new one on. We're going to put this on, torque it with the torque wrench to 29 pound-feet, and then begin filling the engine. All right, so it's still dripping a little bit, which I guess we could leave it. I usually don't worry about draining every last drop out. So we're going to go ahead and get the new drain plug in here with its new washer, finger tight. And get this out of the way. I've got the torque wrench set to, the Honda manual says 29 pound-feet. So I've got it set there. So we just wait, we turn it. It shouldn't take much. There it is. That's the indicator click, so that's 29 pound-feet. It barely feels like anything at all. But it doesn't need a whole lot to really stay in there. And as the engine heats up and runs, it will get tighter on there. But that's all you need. So the new drain plugs in, the old oil filter's off, and the new filter is on. And we're ready to fill the engine.
That's the hole you put the oil in.
This is where we took the cap off. So that was the engine oil cap, labeled, tells you what API specification it needs and what weight and all that stuff. Cap came off of here. That's where your funnel goes. So this is Chevron Supreme 5W20. The weight per the specification for the car. I've used some of this jug, so you can see we're down about a quart. I also know, based on the owner's manual, that this engine takes 4.2 quarts without a filter change, 4.5 with a filter change. I usually put about 4 quarts in it, and then the dipstick reads full, so that's what we're gonna do. I know I'm gonna take more than 4 quarts, so I'm just gonna put this whole jug in, and we'll see how much we've got now. I also like to take the dipstick out and leave it out for this. It helps prevent the oil from glugging into the engine. It helps flow more smoothly. You always want to save the old jugs as well, because you can use them to dispose of the old oil. So any place like Walmart, AutoZone, Advanced Auto Parts will take recycled oil. So while this is still here and I'm ready to pour more oil if I need to, just put the dipstick back in. Yeah, and it's pretty far up the dipstick. So the oil is still draining into the engine. We won't be able to check it accurately at this point. We need to give it a minute. Let the oil flow into the engine and give it a check. I'll just do one more just in case. Yeah, same situation. So we'll let the oil run down into the engine and check back in a minute. All right, so I've got the top back on this. It's got a drain in the end, and what I do is I like to keep an empty jug around to be able to measure how much oil I took out of the engine. So I know I put almost exactly 4 quarts in it. And what I want to do is very carefully pour the used oil into the new jug that's now empty. Oh wow. So, what we just learned is that the car, I try to be good about checking my oil periodically. It seems that in the last month or so, my car has started burning a little bit more oil than is normal. So I got some on the floor. Got a trick for that. But I got about 3 and a bit quarts out, which is a little low. Not terribly low on the dipstick, but definitely, you know, this car's got almost 180,000 miles on it. So at this point, I'm going to be checking the oil like they used to recommend for older cars every fuel stop.
Alan got this baby back on the ground, and that only took about 20 minutes, even with filming and everything.
That's right, easy process. That's definitely one of the things people say is, oh, I don't have a garage, I can't work on my car. You saw there weren't that many tools. You don't really need the garage as long as you've got a flat spot to jack the car up. That's all you need. So it's easy to do. Shouldn't be overwhelming. But all done. We got old oil drained, old filter removed, old crush washer removed, new crush washer, new filter, and new oil. Check the level of the dipstick. All's good. No leaks. We're done.
And that was the build out.
Thanks for watching.